Welcome to Field Video Production. In this section, we'll cover the advent of portable video, its impact on broadcasting and on society. In the early part of the 20th century, people would go to movie theaters to see visuals of world events. Instead of the 15 to 20 minutes of previews like we see before features now, back then there would have been 15 or 20 minutes of newsreels, which would be film of news events around the world. These newsreels were shot by an elite group of cinematographers. In the 50s and 60s, news shows consisted of a person reading the news on camera. There would be very little in visuals like what we see today, with news shows filled with video, graphics, and animations. All motion pictures shot in the first half of the 20th century was shot on film cameras. These cameras were big and mounted on large tripods, dollies, or cranes. Additionally, anytime shooting sound, the cameras were blimped to insulate the loud camera operation from mics being used. Around the time of World War II, smaller cameras began to be used, which allowed them to be taken in the field for more intimate shots. These early small film cameras could not record sound. They were used extensively in World War II, particularly during the D-Day invasion. A couple of these cameras were the Bell & Howell Filmo and IMO and the Bolex D16. These cameras could be loaded with 100 to 400 feet of film that would provide 4 to 10 minutes worth of footage. In the 1960s, Cinema Products made the CP16, which could record sound on film with a magnetic stripe. The CP16 could take up to 1,000 feet of film that would provide 30 minutes of footage. The first portable video cameras were used in the 1960s. These cameras were not used to record video in the field, but to be fed into a switcher for multi-camera broadcasts. The first major event to use a portable camera was the 1968 Democratic Convention. Until this point, the large video cameras had to be mounted on pedestals or tripods. The portable cameras allowed shots from the convention floor where the action took place. But the portable camera played a major role of history at this event. This was during the Vietnam War, and there were war protesters outside the convention arena. The network decided to use the portable camera to give viewers an intimate view of the protests. The protesters noticed the portable cameras being used and stormed the barricades the police had set up. The skirmish turned violent and ultimately brought unprecedented attention to the anti-war movement. The portable camera is credited as a catalyst for the escalation in these events. Subsequent cameras were able to record in the field using separate recording devices. The format that was eventually settled on by the industry was the U-matic 3/4-inch tape. Operators would have to connect the large cameras to the recorder for recording. The cameras, as you can see, had to be powered by large battery belts. Portable video began to be used in broadcasting in the late 1970s. Up till this time, film was used. TV stations had to maintain film labs in their facilities. Film would have to be put through a chemical bath to be processed. This could take from 45 minutes to an hour and a half depending on how much film was shot. Film was also very expensive. The cheaper and quicker video technology provided broadcasting a new competitive edge. Remember, the reason TV stations exist and to produce news shows is to make a profit. The new technology provided them a means to attract more viewers. The major advantages of video over film were the instant nature of video and the ability to broadcast video live from the field. Video does not have to be developed like film. It can be shot and played back instantly. The earliest mode of remote broadcast live coverage was microwave technology. This electronic means of shooting, recording, and instant live coverage was the impetus to label this technology electronic news gathering, or ENG. The major disadvantages of video compared to film were poor image quality and unreliable technology. The quality of the early portable cameras was far inferior to film, and because of the new technology, video engineers had to operate the equipment. They lacked the shooting skills of the cinematographers, so there was a fall-off in respect for news visuals. Portable video became available to consumers in the 1980s and quickly replaced film for home movies. It has come a long way where we all have portable video in our mobile phone. The impact of portable video on social revelations can't be overstated. We commonly see footage shot by private citizens on the news. We've all seen historical clips of past wars like World War II and Vietnam, but during the first Iraq War, we essentially saw a play-by-play account of the events because of portable video and remote broadcast technology. Portable video has developed into a high-quality medium, but film has held on to niche markets such as feature films, commercial production, and made-for-TV productions. We've gone from black and white to color, from standard definition to HD, and now to 4K and 8K resolutions. The remaining area where film held an advantage was its dynamic range. We talked about contrast range in the intro class. Video's contrast range falls around 50:1. Film is about 200:1. Recent developments in video has expanded the dynamic range significantly, rivaling that of film. We know this as HDR, or high dynamic range. Currently, we have to manipulate footage to reveal dark and/or overblown areas in post with HDR, but it is conceivable that we will be able to have HDR footage right out of the camera very soon, thus completely ending film's reign. Essentially, there is no difference in shooting for ENG or EFP. Sequencing and storytelling is the same in both. The equipment is also pretty much the same. Some higher-end cameras or lenses may be used for EFP, but shooting styles are considered similar. The differences lie in the goals or concerns. For the ENG photographer, the primary concerns are time, control, preparation, storyline, and responsibility. News photographers are expected to churn out 1, 2, or even 3 stories each day. Their entire day is based around time management. They must know what their deadlines are and adhere to them exactly. All this can change with a breaking news story, so they must be able to adjust to the new timing constraints. When it comes to staging or controlling news events, there is none. News photographers' job is to capture the event and bring it to the viewer. This brings up ethical questions of how far a photographer can go to alter a situation. Can a photographer move someone in an interview to make the lighting better? How far can one push the line until the essence of a story is altered? We'll discuss these questions later in the semester. News photographers need to be prepared for anything. They must use their experience and instincts to cover stories. So news photographers are usually really good at improvising. Where EFP photographers' mantra is to always have the right tool for the job, the ENG photographer must make the most out of their limited equipment, available light, sound issues, and lack of control in everyday situations. When shooting, photographers think like editors. What do I need to open the story? What do I need to develop the story? And how can I end it? They aren't thinking of the mechanics of shooting, how to set the iris, how to focus, monitor audio. All of that is second nature. The same way you don't think about how to use a pen to write, you're thinking about what words to tell the story. News photographers must know what the story is about to acquire the appropriate shots. Very often, news photographers cover stories on their own. They're not only responsible for shooting appropriate footage, they must also gather information, conduct interviews, write scripts, edit video, and create graphics. They may also need to be on camera. It is very common for reporters to shoot their own stories. It's not a new thing, but certainly more common. Some are called backpack journalists or photojournalists. So, anything that's not news is considered EFP. That includes narratives, commercials, PSAs, documentaries, music videos, corporate communications, and other events. The significantly less expensive nature of portable video made these types of productions more affordable and feasible. The advent of this more affordable technology created an explosion of production companies in the 1980s, which continued to grow in the digital era. Production companies sprouted to create these types of production. Governments and companies also created their own production departments to create educational, training, and communication pieces. Like any entrepreneurial venture, the objective of production companies was to make a profit. So, the goal of the EFP photographer becomes different than the ENG photographer. They have different concerns. Those are budget, planning, script, and authority. I like to use the analogy of a builder to compare with the objectives of production. A builder's primary objective is to make a profit. In this role, the builder must budget projects very carefully. They must accurately estimate how much to spend on materials, labor, time, and other expenses. If they're off even a little, it significantly affects their bottom line. Similarly, the production professional must create and adhere to strict budgets if they're to be successful. They must rely on their experience and research to accurately budget their projects. Planning goes hand in hand with budgeting. How long does it take to shoot a 30-second commercial? An hour? 2 hours? A day? A week? It takes someone with a deep understanding of everything that is needed to efficiently create a production. They must accurately plan the scheduling, crew, equipment, props, casting, locations, editing, graphics, and distribution. Again, one must rely on their years of experience to carry this out correctly. That's why people work their way up to being a producer. In news, the script is written after the fact. The photographers and reporters go out and cover a story, then come back and write the script to put the story together. In EFP, the script is typically written before the production. This allows the production to move efficiently and stay on a predetermined path. The script guides the production. What shots are needed, locations, personnel, equipment, schedule, and more. Just as important are storyboards. They put the producer and client on the same page. The worst thing that can happen is a client saying they had a different visual image of the production. If you share a storyboard with a client, it assures you are on the same page. It also helps the crew during production. They will know what the shots entail, where the frame lines are, where the locations are, and the order in which they'll be shot. So it makes things move more efficiently. EFP projects are typically produced for the client. It is work for hire. The client is the ultimate authority. But very often the producer works on behalf of the client, so the producer is the ultimate authority as it pertains to the crew. They make the decisions. It is also important as a crew member to assess your level of authority. Many photographers are freelancers. When working for a new client, you may want to make sure what your exact role is. I have shot projects where 1 hour into the shoot, I was acting as a director because ultimately that's what the client wanted me to do. But I've also worked jobs where my job was to operate the camera and keep my mouth shut. I've seen operators and PAs start to tell clients what to do or how to direct, and it is a very awkward situation. You know these people are never going to be hired again, or maybe even fired on the spot. You need to handle these situations carefully in advance. Today's photographers need to be well versed in both E&G and EFP. It is not uncommon to shoot news one day, commercial, or corporate training piece the next day. The more you can understand the various approaches to production, the more successful you will be. We will be discussing the shooting styles of the E&G and EFP photographer this semester.